Hello everyone, welcome to Sports Kabri and Arun Foot. Hiren and Shayan aren't with us today, but we're here to preview the BFC and Odisha FC game. Uh, it was a thriller. It was a really entertaining first half. Saw a lot of goals, but in the end, it was Odisha that edged BFC. They won this game 3-2. There was a red card, a couple of interesting incidents in there. A few things that we can touch upon. Arnav, first of all, your takeaway from this game. Did you enjoy the game? Do you think it was free flowing? It was a pretty entertaining first half.
It was Odisha is now sort of being part of some very, very interesting matches so far, right? Against
Yeah,
Goa, against Mumbai City. So they have been part of this. And Good evening, Anurag. But they lack the stability, I feel, at the moment. I think that's what's hurting BFC at the moment, a little Odisha as well. Sergio Ribera rather wants to win 5-4 than 1-0, while
yeah,
Simon Grayson is rather an opposite approach. But somehow, to a clash of two sort of football cultures. Towards the end, it was mentioned by the commentators that Lobera has only lost twice to English coaches, which is also a very, very interesting piece of stats for the number of years that he's been in the ISL with FC Goa and Mumbai City FC as well. So therefore, an exciting game of football, certainly. And in the end, a little bit more luckier Odisha FC because, again, Roshan, another red card.
yeah.
Difficult one. What's your take? You're wearing a BFC
Yeah,
shirt. What does the BFC fan in you, Rahul, say after this game?
I think that first half from BFC is probably the best I've seen from an attacking point of view because it's been sort of it's been very safe. I think he let the handbrakes off today, at least for the first 30 minutes. We saw those couple of goals. It was good when we were getting forward. We looked threatening in the first 20-25 minutes. But again, like you said, I think there was no stability after we scored those goals. After you're 2-0 up, I think you expect a good manager to just shut them off. It doesn't matter. You don't need to go and score a third. But I think BFC were trying to score a third. And again, it was a really good goal that um sort of half the deficit for Odisha. Then with 2-1, then they score a sort of scrappy goal, and then Roshan gets himself sent off, doesn't help his case. Then there's no way you're coming back from that. So especially away from home, I think we started so well. 2-0 away from home, you just have to sort of then close the game off, sit and defend. That's okay, and then the game's over. But they didn't do that. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on Simon Grayson now because it's 4 points in 5 games. That's probably I don't know if we got 4 points in our first five last time as well. So it's a terrible start if you look at it that way. We're just going to see where it goes from here. But a couple of good goals, Anurava, from BFC, Sunil Shetty and Ryan Williams, both on the score sheet. What do you make of the goals?
Sunil. Ryan Williams is Ryan Williams. I mean, you've
Yeah,
mentioned a few times you expected a lot of him,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's one of the players. I mean, still Curtis Main is still not there. I feel somehow or the other. So Ryan
Yeah.
Williams is sort of the pick of the attacking foreigners so far. And on the side, what do you say about that Putea goal?
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly. Yeah. I mean, Anurag is mentioning that the first yellow was totally avoidable. Yeah, completely agree. I think Roshan both his yellows. I know the second one was a little harsh. There was barely any contact, but then again, when you're when you put your arm out or you're again going across the guy in front of you, you're always risking that second yellow, especially on the counter. So I think both yellows were avoidable. We were in a good place. Even at 2-2, I felt because of the performance in the first half, we could have always gotten a third in the second half. Sunil Chetty had a good chance, I think, sort of midway through the second half, where he put a header right over the bar. Uh, I think on another day he buries that and it's 3-3. But again, you can't really do much about it. It was after you get a red card, it's really hard to come back. So, yeah, Adama, did you see BFC potentially coming back in their game after the red card? Because it didn't look like they could.
Um, it's one of those weird ones because again, Odisha being Odisha, and they're not a safe pair of hands, a safe team uh, uh, um, uh, when they're leading. And on the other side, I miss that energy which you saw the other day against East Bengal. I mean, that was quite a while back, but that energy against East Bengal to win that game, it's I don't know, it's somewhat missing. And yeah, it's going to be a tough season for BFC if you look at how the other teams are performing. We've been positively surprised by Northeast United. We've been positively surprised by Jamshedpur FC as well. Chennai seems to be slowly picking up as well. And the question is, if again, we've raised this question before the season started. We've discussed it already in the first few weeks of the season. If Simon Grayson really is the right coach for the kind of squad that BFC have, and that's a question which I think the BFC management also discussed during the off season. But after that finish, one championship, two finals, it's difficult to get rid of the manager. But the question is, if this manager really fits the style and the philosophy that BFC stands for. I think that's the biggest difficulty that BFC finds themselves in, where I think BFC is one of the few clubs, besides I would say FC Goa and also Mumbai City FC, who have now sort of a certain pattern, a style of play, and that's the question if the manager really fits it. And of course also too many red cards. National team player, his experience, and we rate him highly. We want him to play for India as a starting 11 player. Who knows? I think there's some conversation that Grayson needs to have.
Yeah, exactly. I think Roshad today again very avoidable, just like his red card. I think against Mohan Bagan was it? Yeah, it was. So Anurag's asking an interesting question. Anurag, thoughts on Renedy Singh potentially taking over? He's obviously waiting in the wings there.
See, I'm a little biased on that topic because Renedy is one of my best friends, and I know what kind of a coaching talent Renedy is, and he showed it in his short spell with East Bengal when he was there in that bubble, and then he took over for 3-4 games. We've seen last season what he can do with the Classic Football Academy when they won the Under-17 Youth League. Maybe something to think about and to consider, but it's still very, very early. It's 5 games, 4 points. We know what kind of a comeback BFC had last season. I mean, so therefore, it's going to be a difficult one. And well, Adil says that don't be biased. Again, Rahul is a BFC fan again, and if you're a fan of a team, some will call it bias, some will call it love and affection. But I think Rahul is quite critical of BFC, so I think it's unfair to say that Rahul is being biased. I think, again, whichever team which we support or have sympathies for, greetings to Akshata, we will be a little maybe lenient to them. But I think Rahul has been quite clear to what he thinks of the current manager and what he thinks about the team, because that's the question, right? The BFC strives to be the best. I remember when the club started, it was always at least one title per season. At the moment in the ISL, there's a lot of work to be done, it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I think there are a few BFC fans, not only myself. I think, although after, we made the ISL final, made it to the Super Cup final, won the Duran Cup, there were still fans who thought Simon Grayson just wasn't the right man. And rightly so, because most of the results were very scrappy, and we just about got over the line, and then we wouldn't play with possession even at home. Kind of got frustrating for fans. I think we saw that already this against Goa. Hopefully that doesn't repeat, at least at home. Yeah, and Anurag, again, a very scrappy goal exactly. For this particular loss is frustrating because I think BFC had their best start to a game throughout this campaign. Were you impressed with BFC? Because I wasn't expecting it, but BFC were really good in the first 20-25 minutes. Could have probably that's I think where the boss thought, okay, you know what, they score a couple, they can probably get a third. But if you're a good manager, then after you're 2-0 up in the first half, you probably just want to hold on to that lead until halftime. Were you impressed with BFC in the first 20-25 minutes?
In the first 20, they looked really good. Then Putea scores that goal,
Yeah.
and suddenly the game gets scrappy, and you realize it's both. It could get both. The game can go both sides, right? And that's the point where I felt a manager like Grayson, who's actually good normally in managing results, today's team didn't look like they were managing that result in the second half of the first half. That I felt it was
exactly,
like you allowed Odisha to get back into the game, and Odisha not only got back into the game, but they got also in your heads. That's how that Roshan mistake happened, and again it's the lineup looked good. Again, I like the way they set up. I mean, you've got Vindorp at the heart of defense.
Yeah.
Suresh, you've had Patre in there, Sunil, Haulicha Nazri, Ryan Williams. That attacking unit looked good to me, and I thought, okay, this is something that you can build on, and especially that you're willing to allow Harsh Patre to play, who is still just 20 years old, shows you that the coach was willing to do something. So yeah, I don't know. And I said, I felt Curtis Main still has not settled in. I think he's that kind of player who can make a difference. Heloise is asking, Harvey injured? I don't know if Harvey was injured.
No.
But
don't think so.
But he's not fully fit or something. No? There was something.
Yeah. Came into the season not fully fit, but again, I think he hasn't been great. So, and I think we had to accommodate Ryan Williams. You can't drop Veendorp after his performance against FC Goa. He's probably the best player on the pitch for BFC that day. And then you won the two foreign centre backs. So then you only have one option. And I think Ryan Williams had to play because he's that guy who's going to give you that explosive burst going forward, because you don't have those kind of players. You got Srini Shetty and then you got Haricharan Nazi, but this guy, Ryan Williams, was that guy who would give you that extra bit of quality and that explosive nature, take people on one of the wings, and he did that. I think Ryan Williams was one of the better players in that first 20-25 minutes, and probably the reason we were leading 2-0.
And I remember you said it a few weeks ago that you felt that Ryan Williams could be that impact player for BFC, right?
Yeah. And I think he's the guy who has to start every game, because he's clearly shown that he even for that matter of fact, he's the guy who tracks back. Even today, he was doing it a bunch of times. He was tracking back, defending, doing his work. He's putting in a shift. Harvey, on the other hand, is sort of, he's always lingering around, and probably when you're going into an away game, you don't want that. You don't want somebody you don't want to be carrying that kind of player. Although he can create a moment of magic, you want your guys to be giving 100%. Unless Simon Grayson is willing to drop one of his foreign centre backs, I don't see him dropping Ryan Williams and making space for
him. And that's the question, right? That's the question for BFC. Do you want to play with Jovanovic and Damjanovic at the heart of defense? Because for the attacking unit, I guess they'll have to drop one of them to at least accommodate at least Harvey, or to accommodate Curtis Main. And that's the question. Were you happy with Sunil being the man up front?
I actually was. I don't know. I think the game against Goa, he didn't get the service. We didn't really do much in the final third, but today he was good. He had his chances. Again, like I go back to that header that he missed in the second half. On another day, he scores that because he's so good in the air. But yeah, I'm happy with Sunil Chhetri playing up top, actually. Would love to see Ryan Williams and Harvey in the same team. If Grayson is willing to drop one of the foreign centre-backs, probably play Parag or Shankar Sampangi, because he's done that in the past couple of games. Possibility that he could look at that option when we return home. I don't see it happening against Hyderabad, but probably when you go back to when we go back home and play Punjab towards the end of November, I think that's a possibility. Yeah.
So a lot to think about. When it comes to BFC, and a lot of work there for Simon Grayson. And again, BFC fans will raise the questions about the manager as well. I think that's the thing. Those of you who are BFC fans, if you have opinions on that, do tell us. If we look a little bit more towards Odisha FC, also very interesting lineup because it seems to be that Lobera plays around with his sort of starting 11, Diego Mauricio, Roy Krishna, two top ISL strikers. And then you have Isaac and Jerry on the wings. Putia looked the stronger one. I thought Ahmed Jahu didn't have the best of games. What's your opinion on that?
I agree. He looked off it the previous game as well. When Odisha played, who was it that they played? I don't know why I can't seem to remember who they just played the game before, but he didn't have the best of games even
Kerala Blasters. They played at
Kerala Blasters. They lost that game, and he was not.
Which they shouldn't have lost, right? I mean, the point is that Mauricio misses the penalty against Sachin Suresh.
Exactly.
They do that 2-0. Most probably it's done and dusted. And then, of course, in the end, the brilliance of Adrian Luna, which sort of turns the game around. And that raises the question is that Lobera has quite some options looking at the foreigners. So that's the point. Just looking also at the substitutes. No Murtada Fall. So the Carlos Delgado started at the back. Sai Goddard also got a start today. Odisha are a team, right? Are a team to be reckoned with for the top 4, right?
For sure. I think so. But how long does Lobera, I think, go without ensuring that Mauricio has a string of games where he starts, because he's delivered every single time he's played. On the other hand, Roy Krishna has kind of blown hot and cold. I don't really think he's blown hot too often. What do you think? Do you think Mauricio is the guy he should be looking at going into the next few games at least?
I have a feeling that Lobera is trying to sort of give Roy Krishna the chance to try sort of showcase and establish himself. He didn't have the best of seasons at BFC, but again, he puts in a shift for his team, not to forget. Diego Mauricio is more of that killer instinct player, striker, who's shown it at Odisha. He's shown it at Mumbai City as well. He's even showed it in the Champions League when he played Mumbai City. It's an interesting combo to have and an interesting option also to have. So therefore, Eloise saying he rested Mauricio because they've got another game in 3 days. Maybe that might be a position point to consider, because again, Odisha is not only playing ISL but also AFC Cup. So that's something which is sort of a challenge in itself. But they have options. I mean, also to see Jerry play as a left back, who had a bad season at East Bengal. He seems to be back to his sort of form at Chennai. Amay Ranawade, good to see him back after a season-long injury layoff. Odisha looked, and the point is, if Odisha can settle its team and be more compact at the back, the difficulty for them is, will you be able to outscore your opponents? They are conceding 1 or 2 goals every game. And that's I think the biggest challenge for Lobera, even though, of course, towards the end also that Amrinder save, that Curtis Main flyer,
Yeah, I know, but do you think Lobera is going to really sit and sort of go with a more compact approach? Because it doesn't look like it. Like exactly. Yeah.
He wants to outscore opponents. He wants to outplay opponents, which I love about this manager. I mean, that's why we loved him in FC Goa. That's why he won the titles he did at Mumbai City. That's why Odisha have brought him back. It's exciting to watch his teams play. I mean, Odisha is really one of those teams you like to see and watch. As I said, they've already the match against Goa, the match against Mumbai, even the match today, the match in Kerala. Also, even though they're losing 2-1, they are an exciting team to watch. And that's the thing. You want these kind of matches rather than the boring 1-0 sort of, or a boring 1-1. You rather want these kind of matches. I think fans get excited, and that's why that's a good one. And again, Ishan has a very, very, very good question, which I agree to with the injury that Jackson has at the moment. Apuya, we don't know where he stands. Is he going to do a comeback? Might be another Mizo, so to say, Putea. Might he be the solution to our problems in the heart of midfield that India have?
I know. Don't you think like the problem here is that as a manager, Igor Stimac has always preferred to sort of go with guys he's tried and tested, and he doesn't jump into players to just to probably test the waters with them.
But if you yes, I agree. But then the question,
Mhm.
of course, which comes out of it is Jackson is injured.
Yeah,
Suresh at the moment is not playing his best. The less said about Rohit Kumar, the better for Rohit Kumar. Um, so you have to look at options. And if you go by form, I think Putia already at the Blasters earlier had shown what kind of an influential midfielder he can be. And it seems to me that now, again, under Lobera, he is slowly getting back into that groove, into that way. And again, his long range goal just shows off the confidence that the player has. So I think, again, him and Apuya are two players where I would certainly say that they at least deserve to be in the squad. I
yeah,
mean, the coach
100%.
needs to have a look at them.
Yeah, but Arnav, realistically, who do you think is going to sit in that half midfield for India when we enter mid-November?
See, my hope is that Igor Stimac watched Mumbai City play against Al Hilal last week.
Hmm.
My hope is that he saw what Putia was doing against players like Milinkovic Savic, who are world class. So therefore, Apuya needs to be a starting 11 player. And if I look again, I mentioned Suresh. We've watched also Rohit Kumar. Then Putia at the moment is better than them, and I think,
Yeah,
and he also now has a certain level of capabilities, and he's shown it for years. So therefore, I think that he deserves to be, at least in the squad at the moment, looking at the
yeah,
form and the performance level. And again, we have a problem. Not November, Anwar, Jackson, Ashik are surely going to miss. It looks very likely that all three are also going to miss the Asian Cup.
yeah.
So where is my plan B? And we saw against Malaysia, we were all over the place. Anwar Ali has been over the last 12 months the key centre back for India. Jackson has been a key defensive midfielder for us. So this is that's
Yeah,
let's see.
Abhishek.
And again, and Abhishek, you have a point, very valid point.
Exactly.
If you can highlight that point, Rahul,
Yeah,
maybe,
yeah,
and just to showcase, that's what the coach has said, and normally I would agree to it, but now we already are carrying three crucial players injured, and I see Ganesh Naik, Deep Metsing both mentioning
Jay Gupta.
Jay Gupta. Jay Gupta has not played for me enough. He's coming out
Yeah,
of the 5th division in Spain. So for me, I would like to see more of Jay Gupta, but Jay Gupta potentially comes in to me more as a left back than as a centre back,
agree. Yeah,
because I've not seen him as a centre back. So therefore, that is one. But again, left back we are not that bad off with Akash, sorry, and with Shubhashish. So we've got options. I think defensive midfield and the heart of defense are more crucial. And the question, Amrinder or Gurpreet, what do you say after today's match?
I thought Gurpreet was good. Um, a couple of very important saves. I think there was one in the first half, which was a brilliant save, free kick from Jahu, and then
But his game
a couple
opening was
of
again
clever.
that was a problem, right?
Yeah, no, I think so. That I think it's pretty clear. If he does want to play with a keeper who's going to play out of the back, it has to be Amrinder because Gurpreet isn't very comfortable, and it's evident, right? Like we don't. Yeah, something we've already addressed. So for me, if he's going to go with that approach, then he's got to play Amrinder. But if he's going to play probably one of the better sides, and he wants to sit back, then Gurpreet's your guy because he's the better shot stopper and he's got a good long range goal kick in him. So what about you, Arnav? I think we've done this before, but at the time
We
you said Gurpreet, but
I,
who knows?
I would normally go with Gurpreet, but especially looking at the Malaysia game, looking at his club form at the moment,
Yeah,
um, I feel that Amrinder seems to be a more secure, uh, set of hands potentially in the Asian Cup. I'm not. I don't know. And normally I would tend towards Gurpreet, but at the moment I feel, looking at how things are, maybe Amrinder might be a little ahead, because you will need a goalkeeper who is good with his starting the gameplay, and I think that's what India will need. So that's a
Yeah.
question. That's it. I mean, again, Jay Gupta being mentioned again by Joshua and by Ganesh. Yes, I know he's a centre back originally, but he's being played as a wing back, and the question is, if you've not played at club level, at a high level, as a wing back, you've not played for the national team. I don't know if that's something that you will want to risk in, and we only have high profile matches coming up. We've got Kuwait, we've got Qatar, and then potentially we've got so that's a concern. And Ishan also making a very interesting point. Rahul, if you can highlight that. I have said that our top players would struggle going into 4th, 5th, 6th division, England, Spain, Germany. My hometown team, FC Remscheid, play 6th division. I don't know which Indian player would be a starter for us. That's the reality. So therefore, we need to be careful. That's why, again, Jay Gupta's attitude, Jay Gupta's experience is good in that way in Spain, but he's little experience in the Indian game and even less in Asia. And therefore, and Abhishek Vishal Keth, that's an interesting question. I would say lack of international experience with the national team. Be it Vishal Keth, Purva Lechempa has had quite a few number of mistakes recently. I would have said before the summer break, Purva Lechempa most probably should have gotten so therefore, I think Amrinder at the moment is the best potential choice that we have when it goes into, if you want a playing goalkeeper for India.
Yeah, Arnav, before we wrap up, I think there's one important topic that we haven't. I mean, when we're coming to the Indian national team, I know we've gone slightly off topic from BFC Odisha to the Indian national team, because the qualifiers are so close, and it's just fair that we speak about it. At centre back, who deputizes for you in place of Anwar Ali? Because I think that is probably, along with the defensive midfield role, is probably the most important position that we have to address.
It's a very difficult one, because depends on how Sana does, if he's playing at Hyderabad. Mehtab Singh and Sandesh didn't work against Malaysia. So that's a reality. Question is if Pritham Kotal potentially comes back. He's done decently, not indecent, he's done actually quite good at the Blasters as a centre back. So therefore, it's a question. It's a tough one, right? Who do we pick? Holmi Palm is not played at the Blasters. That would have been a name that we would have looked at last season. So therefore, it's an interesting one.
Ganesh is asking about. He's saying talk about Kafa. Ganesh, we've done another video on that. I think it's probably up. It's probably out. You can check that out on Sports Coverage on our Foot. So we've discussed sort of in detail about what's happening, what impact it has on Indian football and stuff. But yeah, guys. So BFC Odisha 3-2. We're looking. I mean, the qualifiers are ever so close. Probably just a couple of weeks away now. Before we know it, we'll be there. And thanks again for joining in. Thanks, Arnava. We'll be back again tomorrow to discuss the ISL. Until then, good night. Thanks, Arnava.
Good night, everyone.